say goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah. Unprofessional. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I am your host, Webby, and joining me today, my co-hostess with the mostest, Devin.
Hey, everybody, I'm Devin. I'm the co-host with the mostest, and I'm back.
God damn,
Like it's been a while.
my energy levels, Devin, they just skyrocketed because I got to listen to this dope-ass music. And this dope-ass music created by and our other guest, Ross Boyd.
Heyo! Happy to be here.
All right, fellers. We're going to be talking about something today. We're going to be talking about Marvel's Avengers Infinity War movie.
What? I thought you were talking about racism. I'm on the wrong one. Dang it.
No, racism is next week when people realize that we're doing an Infinity War breakdown / podcast, and we still haven't done a Black Panther one.
It's true. It's true.
Okay?
It's true.
But listeners, it's okay.
Because
It's
I'm black.
okay. Because Devin's black. And
Yep.
he's my friend, so yeah,
You're covered.
I'm under that like small little cover of you're not allowed.
I'm the
to hate
racist
speech
equivalent of a beard.
me. So Marvel Infinity Wars. Devin, when did you see it?
I saw it yesterday.
Yesterday. I watched it really late last night. And we won't get into how I watched it, but that's fine. And Ross, you literally just came out of the theater.
I am in my car in the parking lot of the movie theater. The Lyric in Fort Collins, Colorado is a really rad little movie theater. I recommend that you go see this movie or other movies in this theater.
Nice.
Yeah.
There was one in Texas when I lived in Texas. I don't remember the name of it now, but when Eric came down,
Was it Alamo Draft House?
no.
Oh.
But when Eric came down to visit me, we went to it, and it was the same type of thing. Like you walk in, and there's like a bar area and a restaurant and stuff, and then you go to your movie theater, and it was like stadium seating, but it was weird. There was like these almost like bar tops, and then your chair was a really comfy, like swivel computer chair kind of thing that reclined.
Huh.
And the thing is before the movie, a waitress would come by and take your order, and then they'd bring it to you. And then if you needed anything during the movie, like a refill on drinks, I should probably turn this game off because that's background noise. It sounds like it's raining out right now. Let's just go ahead and close that. Hopefully that saves. But if you needed anything during the movie, you just press this little light, and a little red light would come on, and then they would come up and whisper and see what you needed. It was really cool. I think it was like the Movie Tavern or something like that. It was a neat tavern. But
That's pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, mine had like lazy boy style recliners and like and hardwood floors because they just actually redid the particular theater I was in, which they knocked out a wall next to two theaters. And made a giant screen. It was like it's 100 feet, like 98 feet by 50 feet tall.
Damn.
nice.
So I watched it in there, and it was really nice. And it was really spaced out. You had a lot of leg room. Like you could just have the recliner all the way out and still get like a stroller between you and the next set of chairs.
Huh.
Nice.
This place is pretty rad. You walk in and it looks like kind of a cool bar. Like there's the chalkboard with the menu and stuff like that, and there are bar seats and lots of table seating. And I honestly didn't know if I was in the right place. I'm like, my GPS told me to go here. I'm pretty sure I'm here to see a movie. I kind of walk up to this like weird little this customer service area in the center, and I notice like on the far wall there's a movie poster, Avengers Infinity War. And I'm like, okay, this is probably it. I walk up, I'm like, I think I'm here to see Avengers, and she's like, yeah, cool, awesome. And then you walk down this long hallway, and you get to just a wooden door. The theater that I was in was called The Big One. They all have like cute little names, and mine was The Big One. And you go in, and then it's a normal movie theater. There's the stadium seating with fairly typical seating, but the seats on the floor were just like a bunch of like really nice leather couches spread out, and church pews. There were like church pews in the center on the floor. Very odd, but yeah, it was a unique experience. It's definitely going to be the theater that I come to this summer.
Well, speaking of unique experiences, the movie itself.
Yeah.
Me and Devin talked a little bit about it earlier. We were just kind of like shooting the shit about it. Then we decided, okay, we're going to get off this topic because we're going to save this for the SU. Now, Ross, this is most likely the freshest in your mind because you literally just walked out of the theater.
Yes.
I normally, when we do our movie reviews, we essentially do a breakdown. Like we go through moment to moment of the movie, and spoiler alert, everybody, if you haven't seen Infinity Wars yet, pause this fucking podcast. What are you doing? Is this your first podcast that you've ever listened to? Don't be dumb. Pause it, go watch the movie, come back, unpause it, then listen to us talk about this movie. Because there are going to be tons of spoilers in there. Okay? And if you don't believe me that there's going to be a ton of spoiler, Black Panther dies. Boom. There. Okay? Spoiler. All right? Boom. I bet you didn't expect that one. All right. Anyway.
Crazy.
And that's why we're not doing a Black Panther episode, because he's dead, and what's the use?
What's the point?
So, I personally, okay, I'm not going to remember every moment in order. I never do. My brain doesn't work that way. But I have highlighted moments that were important to me that I really liked. But by all means, if you guys have a moment that popped up or something that we didn't discuss in that particular order or whatever, feel free to chime in. The movie had a very strong open for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're on this shipwreck of a mess that you recognize from Thor Ragnarok because it's the ship that he was on, right? And then everybody's fucking lying down and half dead. Things are on fire. Things are destroyed. Thanos is there with some of his goons, right? And he pretty much manhandles Thor for a little bit, right? And I guess what's his dude? I forget his name. The second in command guy there who like has telepathy or telekinesis.
Ebony Maw.
Ma. That's his name. He wraps Thor right up in metal, right? That dude's insane. Devin, do you happen to know what his actual power set is?
He actually in the comic book doesn't. It's stated he doesn't technically have powers, but he also could technically have powers. It's a weird thing.
All right.
His origin's kind of weird.
Now in the movie, I'm going under the assumption that he's just a super powered telekinetic.
Yeah. That's the
Right.
fair assumption to make.
Because it's not just metal that he's doing. He's able to just move objects and people. So Thor is wrapped up, and then there's the scene with Loki where like obviously Loki's doing his thing where he's pretending fealty, and then he's gonna try to fucking stab fucking Thanos because he brought the Tesseract from the last movie.
I think even backtracking a little bit, like Thanos just kind of like made short work of the Hulk before.
Well, wasn't that? No, that was before.
No, that was
before.
yeah.
That was right
yeah,
before.
this is because like we like walked into the movie and like like you're saying, everybody's on the floor. We don't even see Thor fighting. Like he's not.
Nope.
Like he's already down for the
Subjugated.
Yep.
when the movie starts.
I like Loki's callback to the original Avengers movie, where Thanos is essentially telling him that they don't have a chance in hell of winning, and then Loki's like, "Well, we do have one thing. We have a Hulk," and then the Hulk tackles Thanos into a wall. But yeah, he when you first see the Hulk tackle Thanos and he's punching Thanos and stuff, you get the sense like, okay, Hulk's gonna hold his own here. He's, maybe he'll scare Thanos off, and then Thanos will come back even more powerful and whoop everyone's ass later because he's supposed to be the big bad. Not the case, dude. He quickly turns this fight around.
Adding to that, like one of his lieutenants was gonna step in, and then Maul's like,
let him have his
fun.
Yeah.
Whoever fought the Hulk and said, "I'm having fun."
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a callback to this even later on, too, that I'm going to mention that I thought was a great line. But, yeah, he quickly just turns around and starts beating the piss out of the Hulk. And then eventually he essentially knocks the Hulk out. And then I think it was Heimdall who just decided to transport the Hulk.
Yes.
Like, could he not transport anyone else? It was only one person?
What's his name was locked down. Thor was locked down. And Loki was basically... He was fine at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. But, anyway, Heimdall transports Hulk off the ship. Teleports him down to Earth, which we'll get to.
On Rainbow Road.
On Rainbow Road, yep. The fucking worst level on Mario Kart.
Or the best.
No, one of the worst. They don't have fucking guardrails. You always fly off the goddamn road and into space. It sucks. Then you have to be brought back onto the track by that little dude with the fishing pole in the cloud.
Yep.
Goddamn Mario Kart. That's going to be a whole
Rainbow
separate episode. I have so many things to say about Mario Kart. Anyway,
none of them good.
I had a bad experience. Anyway, so yeah, then Loki tries to swear fealty and then attempts to stab Thanos, but he gets stopped by Thanos uses one of the gems in the gauntlet to essentially hold Loki. Loki actually had a pretty decent line here. He told Thanos that he's never going to be a god, and then Thanos literally just choked him to death in front of Thor. That was essentially the second death of the movie because I think he killed Heimdall right before this.
Yeah.
Yes.
He fucking just drove a spear
that was
right
the
through
second
Heimdall.
on-screen death of the movie.
Yes. So, what happened next after he kills Loki and then he leaves and then Thor, since the power is not being held there to restrain Thor, Thor gets broken loose and he just kind of mourns over Loki for a minute on a busted ass ship that then blows up. Then it's down to Earth, right?
Yes, I believe so.
It's down to Tony Stark and Pepper Potts.
Right, yes.
Yeah, so they're having a talk, and Tony, mentions a dream about how he imagined Pepper pregnant, and he thought it was real, blah, blah, blah. And how no more surprises. He's done. They're going to set a date. They're going to go have dinner, and absolutely no more surprises. And then a wizard shows up. And tells him that Tony Stark needs to go with him, or else the fate of the universe is
after
doomed.
Hulk crash landed into
the Sanctum Sanctorum.
There you go.
So Stark begrudgingly goes with Mr. Wizard Man. I love the on-screen dynamic between Doctor Strange and Tony Stark.
Yeah, because Stark's trying to grasp command, and then he's just like, I don't really give a shit. Like you.
Yeah,
I don't think anything
because
of you.
everyone that Stark deals with can eventually, or technically, I guess, be bought. Like he uses his name as an influence, right? And then he tries to flex his power with Strange, and Strange is just on a whole different level. He gives zero fucks about anything other than his mission. So they bring him, and you see Bruce Banner in a staircase. And then he tells Tony about Thanos, and Thanos is coming. And Tony starts to piece this all together from the first Avengers movie. So he feels like this is, they need to fix this. And he's just about to call Captain America because Bruce kind of explained to him, hey, listen, if Thanos, dude, if he gets his job done, he's going to destroy the universe. It's not going to matter who the fuck you're talking to or not talking to. What was the one line, Ross, that you messaged me
Oh yeah, it was
with Doctor Strange?
Yeah, Doctor Strange and Tony were having their little back and forths. And I wrote it down verbatim. So let's see if I can find it.
Oh yeah, where Tony Stark was asking him what his job was.
Yes.
And Doctor Strange replied, "Protecting your reality, douchebag." I love that. That was a good scene.
It was a very good scene.
So, as you know, as they're talking in the sanctum, they notice that there's a breeze coming through the fucking broken ass skylight that Banner came flying through, and then they walk outside and all hell is breaking loose. Because then there's this giant fucking donut ship. It's the only way. That's the only way I could describe it. It was a ring.
That's the way Tony described it. Yeah.
Oh, is it? I don't remember that part. This is where you see from the trailer, Peter Parker sees this while on a school bus. One of his friends causes a distraction. He literally just crawls out the school bus window. Like, what the fuck is the bus driver doing? How come he just lost a kid? He's fired. Stanley, you're fired.
Yeah, exactly.
You're fired from being a school bus driver. So Spider-Man starts swinging to go help out and everything. Now, I gotta say, the upcoming scene, the fight where Iron Man and Doctor Strange and all them are fighting the two goons in New York, hands down one of the two fight scenes I think I love the most in this movie.
It was pretty solid.
In all honesty, I think most of it was, again, I think it was Doctor Strange too. You know, I really liked Doctor Strange in this movie. Like the one dude with the telekinesis, man, he made all those spikes and he shot them all at Strange, and Strange opened up that little portal thing, and then another one to shoot them back at him.
Yes, there's some stuff like that happens later when Strange is fighting Thanos.
That's the other scene that I love.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Yep.
I mean, nothing against the Wakanda scene and everything, that big ass battle fight scene and whatnot. That had its perks.
Of those scenes, the problem with that scene is like it's so much going on.
Right.
You can't really appreciate. Like my favorite. I think my favorite fight scene of all was like the small battalion of the small group of Tony, Strange, Spider-Man, and a couple of the Guardians versus Thanos. That was
out on Titan.
On Titan. That was my favorite one.
Yep. I'd have to say that was probably my favorite fight scene, and then the New York one was probably my second. So, all in all, they came down. It was the two Thanos goons, Ma and then the other guy. They came down essentially wanting the Infinity Stone from Doctor Strange, which didn't end up happening, so they ended up retreating.
We've got to go back because this is where Bruce Banner and the Hulk start having their disagreement.
Yeah, and this is another thing. Like, okay, so the Hulk, like, as the two people come down and stand in the streets, and one of them has a humongous fucking hammer, big burly dude. Stark keeps asking Bruce, "Hey, can you get your friend out here to take care of some problems? What's the hold up here?" And Bruce is trying to get angry. And like his neck will start to turn green, then it stops, and like he's doing the best he can. And then finally you see this face of the Hulk, and then you hear the Hulk's voice, and he just says no, and then just goes back to Bruce.
And Tony looks at him and says, "You're embarrassing me in front of the wizard."
Yeah. I think this was a really cool way to handle having Bruce Banner in the movie and be part of the Infinity War, but not just having the ultimate, like, weapon on your side. Like, because if any of these scenes, say this scene with these two guys in New York, say Bruce was able to Hulk out and he turned into the Hulk would just manhandle the pair of these guys. it wouldn't have lasted. It wouldn't have
No,
been
it
the
wouldn't
same
have.
scene. And it's essentially like in DC universe, if you have any type of fight, throw Superman in there. Fight's over. It's only a matter of time, you know? So I thought this was a unique way of still having Bruce and then showing like an internal struggle because this is the first time the Hulk has been scared. You know, the Hulk's always angry. This time he's just outright, he does not want another fucking go at Thanos. Thanos whooped his ass, and that's not something the Hulk's used to. You know? At least that was my take on it.
Yeah, an interesting little side tidbit that has nothing to do with the movie at the moment, but basically it kind of does. But in interviews, Mark Ruffalo said they're banned from making a Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who. I think Paramount or whoever owns Hulk.
A solo Hulk movie, yeah.
Yeah. So instead, they're gonna take all the stuff he appears in. They're gonna give him a kind of a story arc or a movie arc over the movies he's in. Like if you cut all the clips out and just had him.
Yep.
You would kind of get his character journey and his character arc over all the next movies he's going to be in.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
Well, see, that's one thing. Like, I don't think... I read that, too, about them not making a solo Hulk film, right? And if I remember correctly, I want to say one of the reasons why they did it was because people find it would be boring because the Hulk is so powerful. Right, you would need
it's
this.
Definitely legal. It's definitely legal. It's more of a legal thing for sure. Is what I'm.
I thought it was a story arc thing. Like
No,
I thought it was just
legal.
the fact that you can't. What are you going to throw at him?
Like, I think if I forgot which film studio is it Fox or Paramount? One of the two. They own the rights to solo Hulk films.
Well, if it's Fox, then chances are Disney owns them now.
No, it's not Fox. That's the thing.
Oh, all right.
Like, I don't think it's Fox. Whoever came out with the...
Well, I mean, I posed that question to you now anyway. Even if they got past the legality issue, if it is a legality issue, if you had a solo Hulk film, who are you going to throw at the Hulk that's going to actually be a challenge?
I mean, there's quite a few people out there. I mean, like
the
for
biggest
instance,
challenge for the Hulk that the Hulk's ever had to deal with is society. As a whole.
Society, Abomination, technically.
He would whoop Abomination's ass. Like, Abomination might get the upper hand on him for a little while, like he did in the other fucking movie there, but, like, the thing with the Hulk is just the angrier he gets, the more powerful he gets. So if he starts getting his ass handed to him, he's gonna... That table is slowly going to tilt the other way over time. But one thing that I would like to see in the near future is General Ross... Apparently, like, he is the Red Hulk.
Yeah, Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see that transition of him actually, like, because he despises the Hulk, you know? And I'd like to see that transition of him turning into that Red Hulk and then the Hulk having to deal with it. Then you have a Hulk on Hulk film, which has to take place out in the desert. Otherwise, if they're in a city, millions of people are going to die. Like... I don't understand things. When Superman fights somebody in Metropolis, buildings topple over, you know millions of people are dead. And everyone's like, oh, Superman doesn't kill people. Fuck you, he just knocked over a building and killed fucking 100,000 people. Period. I hate it. I hate Superman. God damn it.
I dislike Superman as well, but that's what it is.
Anyway... Getting back to Infinity Wars.
Any shining example of a superhero. Like, even Captain America's dirty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, and he was in this film. You know, he is still technically a vigilante, I guess, now. Like, he's on the opposite side of the law. But in any case, moving forward, the Maw dude ends up restraining... Strange and gets him onto that ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Spider-Man went after him, like, because Stark told him.
The effort of that cloak, though. The effort of the cloak.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
yeah. Oh, yeah. He had him all wrapped up and leaned up
Cloak
against the
was
car.
MVP,
The cloak just
man. That cloak was
out.
MVP.
Oh, dude, the cloak, the whole movie, the cloak has been MVP.
Right.
Later on Titan, when he wrapped him around the gauntlet,
He is the most the most unspoken Avenger.
Yep.
He's the unspoken Avenger next to Hawkeye.
Yes.
Well,
I miss Hawkeye. Where's my Hawkeye?
Who had a mention in this movie at least, even though he wasn't in it.
He got mentioned. Same thing with Scott Lang, but then it's
Yep.
like, where's my Hawkeye? And then, although thinking about it, I would love a Hawkeye Scott Lang movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That would be the greatest movie of all time. Like, just them, like they're trying to get somewhere. They're just in like a fucking minivan.
I did
Like,
see.
like,
I saw the preview for the Ant-Man Wasp movie. That looks good. I really like Ant-Man. Ant-Man before this movie. Before I watched this movie, Ant-Man was my number one favorite Marvel movie. Oddly enough. Mainly, I love Paul Rudd. I loved the comedy in it.
yeah.
It was a good movie.
Ant-Man was a lot of fun. Guardians of the Galaxy for me was one of my favorites.
That was probably my third.
That was probably my
right up
favorite.
there,
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 were right up there with me. And then surprisingly Thor Ragnarok, because I want to say for the biggest change, Thor Ragnarok is my favorite movie, just given how much it changed from the other Thor movies.
Yeah, from Dark World.
Especially from Dark World.
Let's go fight Drow. This is D&D. They fought Dark Elves. Anyway, so yeah, Stark yells at Peter, save the wizard, keep an eye on him, blah blah blah. So he ends up getting like pulled up into the air, and then Stark finally gets free, and anyway, they chase up into the fucking flying donut spaceship. Please, guys, correct me here, because I'm trying to remember how things happen.
no, you're doing great. They're on the flying donut. This is where we get to see Spidey's new suit. So they're like,
Stark calls for that to get shot out like a missile from Avengers home base.
Spidey's holding on to the donut. It's like launching up into space. He's trying to save the wizard. He's getting into the atmosphere. He can't breathe. Tony's like, just let go. You're gonna, you're running out of oxygen. Has this package, just like this rocket launches out and deploys the the nanobot suit, hits Spidey in the back, wraps him up in this brand new shiny suit, and he's like, oh man, this is awesome. And then Tony's like, go home, kid. And then a parachute opens up on Spidey's back, and he goes flying off the ship back toward Earth, or so we think.
Yeah. And then Stark ends up breaking into this donut, and he gets a call from Pepper pleading for him to not do this and to just come back down to Earth and not get involved. But because of Stark's dreams that he's been having and the events from the first Avengers movie, he just ultimately feels like this is something he needs to do. And that was a nod to the comic books, because a similar thing happened in the comic books where I don't think it was him on a spaceship, but Pepper pretty much pleaded with him to just don't get involved in this one. And he told her he had to. So, Devin, were you going to say something?
No, I'm good.
Oh. Then we see, I think, Spider-Man hanging on by literally a thread. Dangling from this spaceship, and then he crawls into like this little cavern that starts closing as they enter space, and his last line is, I should have stayed on the bus.
I mean, this is very different than his world.
Oh, yes. But I mean, he brought up a good point later on when he talks to Stark.
Yeah, when he's like, the line was, I think never Spider-Man with no neighborhood to save.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what I mean? I know that didn't make much sense. I'm like, no, that made perfect sense.
Yeah, that made perfect sense.
You got this. And that's kind of how Spider-Man always gets roped into the Avengers. Like, he's not, like, I don't want to say he's not an Avenger caliber hero, because he definitely is. Like, he definitely is.
Oh, for sure. But he chooses
that's not where his rogues are. Like, his rogues are not in... Like, much like the Flash, like, a lot of his rogues are not really on his level.
Right. They're not like these godly space aliens, and beings, these cosmic beings.
No, it's Joe. It's the fucking wrecking crew with a magical fucking.
It's the guy who's knocking over the local 7-Eleven. That's
I still love a wrecking crew that they have. They have a fucking. I think it's an is it an Asgardian crowbar or some shit like that, or is it a crowbar like imbued with Asgardian runes?
Oh, I
It's
don't
really
know.
dumb. The fucking Wrecking Crew. I love the Wrecking Crew.
I do like how, though, I mean, talking about Spider-Man for a minute, he is a high caliber, and I mean, Austin, if he's listening, he's gonna think we're shitting on Spider-Man. That's not what we're doing, Austin.
No.
Spider-Man is a high-end caliber superhero. He is
I love Spider-Man.
hands
He's
down
one of my favorite.
He is a extremely powerful superhero. But I love the fact that he opts to just try to stay local. Like, he's not out there trying to save the world all the time. He's trying to keep New York safe.
And that was like the whole point of Spider-Man: Homecoming too,
Right.
which this the first time we get to see him since then. I think, yeah, that was the last. That
Yep.
was his last appearance, right?
Yep.
So yeah. So he like that was the whole movie, was him just kind of like realizing, okay, there's some stuff that's above my head, and I gotta stay here and do the work here.
Yep. So from that point where Spidey pretty much stowaways onto the spaceship, where do we go from there? Because this movie, there's a lot going on, and they jump all over the place.
We jump around a lot.
Does it jump to Wanda and them after that? I'm trying to think.
I don't they jump
or
to
is it the Guardians finding Thor? Yeah, is it the Guardians finding Thor out in space?
I think so. That's where I want to go. So I don't know if it's just my brain telling me I want to go visit the Guardians.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll go there regardless. So now you have the Guardians flying through space, right? And they're listening to, what is it, Rubber Band Man?
Rubber Band Man, yeah.
Yeah. Drax is passed out, sleeping. Groot's playing a handheld video game. Rocket's just kind of yawning, like, whatever's happening here. But Gamora and Quill are rocking out to Rubber Band Man. And they're flying through. They heard a distress signal. So they're going to go check it out. And there's this conversation between Rocket and Quill about, why are we going there? There better be money involved. And if nothing else, maybe their ship. We can just
sell
take
the
their
ship.
So they show up. It's chaos. There's just rubble everywhere, dead bodies floating in space. And then Thor slams into their windshield. Rocket immediately goes, windshield wipers, get it off, get it off. I loved that. I love Rocket Raccoon.
The rabbit?
Yes, the rabbit. And then Thor opens up his eye, and then they get him inside. And Quill is immediately jealous because they have Thor unconscious on a table, and Gamora is like inspecting his muscles because they're trying to figure out how he survived just being in space.
Later survives a star.
Yeah. And then like Thor wakes up and Quill starts like talking in like this deep voice. And then there's like this point where they're just like, are you mocking me? He's mocking me. Are you copying everything I'm saying? He's copying everything I'm saying.
Why are you talking like the Pirate Angel?
So, ultimately, they start talking about Thanos. They realize that Thanos is probably heading to nowhere, which people who've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy know that it's not really a planet. It's a floating skull of a celestial, if I remember correctly. It's the head of a celestial.
Toro hangs out.
Yeah. It's where the Collector is, and Thanos is going there most likely for the next gem. But Thor wants to go to this other planet to make a weapon that can kill Thanos. So they do what every D&D party never wants to do. They split the party.
I try to. I keep trying, but you keep pulling it back in.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're not supposed to split the party.
Somebody's got to clean up the damn...
Anyway. So...
Jerk.
Thor, Groot, and Rocket are going to go make this weapon while the morons are going to go to nowhere. Verbatim, that's what they're called.
It's an accurate name.
So we're just going to keep on this train. I don't care if we have to rewind and go back through a different part of the story, but as the Quill, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis all head to nowhere. They show up and they see Thanos. They sneak up to the Collector's area. They see Thanos essentially just stepping on the Collector. And he just keeps saying, "Where's the gem?" Or "Where's the stone?" And then every time Peter is like trying to form a plan, the rest of them just start moving without him, like going their own way. You end up finding Gamora confronts Thanos, ends up like stabbing him in the neck, and then once in in like the side or something, and he collapses to the ground. And then that vision vanishes, and the whole landscape changes.
It vanishes after Gamora.
Starts
Like-
breaking down and crying.
Yeah, she's crying. She's like, she's got conflicted feelings. This was the monster that raised her,
Right.
And she killed him, and so she's got feelings. And then everything fades away. Like the all of the scenery changes, and we hear Thanos' voice, basically saying, "I knew you cared about me."
Right. Yeah, everything's on fire. Thanos steps through because he now has the reality gem, and he's essentially changing reality. He's making people see what he wants them to see. So he ends up, essentially snagging Gamora, grabbing, Drax and Mantis go rushing out, and he he changes Drax into like blocks, and Drax falls apart.
Blocks and like and then what's her
Mantis,
name? Mantis becomes like ribbons.
Yeah, like ribbons, and just kind of spirals out of
Fucked up.
whatever.
Fucked up.
And then Quill steps out, and he had made a promise to Gamora that if Thanos had her, that he'd shoot her.
Because she knows something.
Yeah, she knows the location of the Soul Gem.
Which I love how they made that seem like we didn't know what she knew. We clearly knew what she knew.
Building up to this, because they showed Gamora's past, and essentially, when Thanos visited her planet, he rounded up all of the people, divided them equally in half, and then just randomly shot one half of them. That's his whole thing. Is he's trying to divide everything in half. Okay, he wants equality. He's trying to save the universe. And he did this, but instead of allowing Gamora to be part of it, he saw something in her, so he distracted her from what was happening, gave her this blade, showed her that it was balanced, had her balance and everything. It was a heartfelt moment. Okay? I love Thanos. Don't get me wrong. I honestly thought once we saw that past, and then we had the scene where Gamora's like, "Hey, if Thanos gets me, shoot me because I have knowledge, I know things." I thought the Soul Gem was in that knife. I was wrong. Just throwing that out there. But hey, that was kind of a step that I took, and I stumbled over it. That's all. I'm only human, people. Shut up. Shut, bros. So, Quill is there. He's pointing the gun in Thanos' face. And then Gamora kind of talks to him a little bit, and he points the gun down at her. And Thanos gets amused by this, and he starts like shoving Gamora right at the gun. And just as Quill pulls the trigger, bubbles come out. Because Thanos uses the reality gem again. Tells Quill that he likes him. Says, "I like you." And then just kind of steps through this little portal and takes Gamora with him. It's real fucked up.
Whew. Yeah, that's something.
So at this point, Devin, do we want to just keep going with this section of the storyline, or do we want to jump back? Because I think now is right around the time where Vision and Scarlet Witch have their scene.
Yeah, we can just keep going. I mean, that's fine. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what fell.
Ross, you just saw this. What happens next?
Super quick. Vision and they're in Scotland. They're hiding out. They're trying to spend some time together. Goons show up, try to steal the gem. They
actually hurt Vision.
Oh yeah, they're sad. Like Vision is not doing much in this movie other than like having a stone in his head.
Yeah.
So Vision gets his ass
Sadly.
kicked. The witch holds her own, and then Captain America shows up with Black Widow.
Now, when Vision got stabbed the first time,
Yep.
What did he try to phase and then it still stabbed him?
Yeah, there was something about they didn't really talk about it too much beyond that. But yeah, there was something about their weapons that was able to prevent Vision from phasing or stabbed in mid phase or something like that. They didn't
They didn't go into too much detail about it, but
Right.
I mean, one of the problems with these big galactic villains and these big galactic stories, similar to the Superman stories, is you're just dealing with so many weird powers and shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be boring to explain them all. But if you don't explain them, then it's just kind of weird and confusing.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a little bit of both of that going on in this movie. But yeah, so like this stuff I kind of didn't care about. Like, so like, all right, Vision's got a stone in his head, and that's important. There are other characters that I care about that are doing things right now, and I want to see them.
Right.
So Captain America comes, scoops up Vision, and saves the day.
Yeah. They do end up going back because Falcon asks him, where do you want to go? He says home. They go back to Avengers headquarters, and you see Rhodes there talking to General Ross, and they're talking about how none of this would happen. They don't know where Vision is. This wouldn't have happened if the Accords weren't signed, blah, blah, blah. And then Cap, Black Widow, all of them walk through the front door, and General Ross is like, arrest them. And Rose is like, yeah, sure, right on that. And just kind of ends the call, like just closes out everything. Bruce comes back because Bruce is at the Avengers headquarters. And then they start talking about how the gem, Thanos is going to be coming for the gem. And that if he just gets it ripped out of his skull, that's going to kill Vision. But Bruce was explaining that the way that they put it in there and used it, that if they could remove the gem, that would leave Vision still alive with all perfectly good parts still running. Like, he didn't need the gem to be alive. But this was beyond Bruce's capabilities, so Cap said that they were going to eventually, he said that he knew somebody who could do it, and they go to Wakanda.
The plan is to take the gem out of Vision's head and destroy it, because Vision had discovered a way to he figured out how Scarlet Witch could destroy the gem.
Right, using pretty much just enough of her power and overloading the gem, it would just shatter the gem. So they're trying to just remove it from his head safely, where he doesn't die in the process. Which is not an easy task, which is why they went to Wakanda, because they have supreme technology, I guess you could say. They're advanced beyond even Bruce. So that's them. They're in Wakanda. We'll get back to them because the next thing is going to be a big fight with them over there. Let's see. On Thanos stuff.
Thanos has Gamora.
Yes, Thanos has Gamora. They're talking. Gamora just keeps telling him how they're back on Thanos' ship. Gamora's like, I hate that chair. I hate the ship. I hate you. I hate everything. She's being a little emo teenager. And then Thanos pretty much accuses her of knowing where the soul gem is. He's like, I sent you out. We had the same thought process a long time ago, and I sent you out in search of this soul gem, and you found it. And she kept trying to say she didn't find it. She didn't find it. And I like Thanos. Thanos tells her something in this scene. He's like, I forget the exact wording, but it was something like, your good qualities you got from me. You know, I gave you those. That's why you're so good at these things. But I never taught you to lie, which is why you're absolutely garbage at it. And like the things that he said that he taught her were like good qualities. And you would not think that from Thanos because everybody fucking hates Thanos for some stupid fucking reason.
I love Thanos.
Thanos
is
is
dope.
my homeboy, all right? Now, Ross, I don't know if you knew this. You've known me for a very long time. Thanos is my number one favorite supervillain.
I think I got a gleaning of that.
Yeah. So he brings her into a room essentially where he has Nebula splayed out in pieces, hung up in the air, and he's torturing her. And because of the torturing, Gamora breaks down and says, I know where the gem is. And then Thanos says, show me, and then they leave.
Actually, she didn't. Gamora didn't give it up. It was on.
That was on. Yeah, it was on Nebula's like recorded memory.
Yeah.
Um.
Gamora's tough. She's no snitch.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is she eventually? I want to say she eventually ended up telling, she told Thanos like she's not giving it to him, or something. And I remember Thanos just like torturing Nebula right in front of her, and it was only because of that Gamora's like, fine, I'll show you where this gem is.
Right. Well, it was one of those moments that was like, I think it was supposed to show how manipulative Thanos is, because like he already knew, like he already had all of the information.
Yep.
And all he wanted was Gamora to tell him the truth.
Yep. And see, he did this scene was fairly similar to the comic book. He loved torturing Nebula in the comic book. Like he almost like you almost get the sense like he enjoyed it. But the thing is in the comic book, Nebula wasn't part machine. There was nothing there. He was like tortured her without the machine parts.
Yeah.
So, in any case, so you find that the Soul Gem is on this planet, and Gamora is going to take Thanos there. So while that's happening, I guess let's cut over to let's see. Let's go see Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Thor, Rocket, and Groot make their way to this planet that is essentially a star. And it's where the dwarves are from in Norse mythology. Now, don't get dwarves mixed up. This guy was fucking humongous still, but he is technically a dwarf, and they're the ones who created Mjolnir and a lot of the other Norse weapons, like the god weapons and such. They get there, it's barren. It's closed, it's cold, the star's not flared up. They land, and immediately a couple of them get knocked around by this humongous dwarf. He's the sole surviving dwarf. And Ross, you picked this up immediately, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It was very easy to pick up. Mr. Peter Dinklage playing the dwarf again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Dink. And so they realize, and Thor tries to tell him, he's like, hey, you don't need your hands. Because his hands were like cast in metal or something, right? So that way he couldn't use them anymore. And he tried to tell him, he's like, dude, you don't need your hands to do this, okay? It's all in your mind. Let's just get this weapon made. What do you need us to do? So they kick-started, because the rings around this star were, I guess, melded together or frozen together.
Yeah.
So they kick-started that, but Thor whipped around the ship that Rocket was on, and then used that to kind of propel himself and pulled his feet along the rings to break it free. So they got the rings going, which heated up the star, and then the iris of the star shot a beam into the forge to start melting the metal, and then the iris broke. And so Thor was like, well, how long do you need? And the dwarf is like, I don't know, more than you can give me. Just a minute, I guess. And
Couple
so
minutes.
Thor's like, well, I'll hold it open. And then there's like a scene which you also verbatim wrote to me.
Yes.
He's going down to hold the iris open, and the dwarf says, "It will kill you." And Thor replies, "Only if I die." And the dwarf is like, "Yes, that's what killing you means."
The definition of what killing means.
So they're getting all in position. Thor rips these levers down, which heats up the star again, and shoots this beam like pretty much all around him, and starts melting this metal. So Thor survived being in space and
So did
blown
it-
up.
Yep.
And then he survived a concentrated beam from a star.
More impressively, his clothes held out.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that was just a practicality thing, but I want to know where he gets his clothes.
You cannot have a naked Thor. It is now owned by Disney.
But he looks like an angel had a baby with a pirate.
Yeah. Yeah. But no nakedness. Can't have it. It's Disney. Now, he was close to death, though. This did take a toll on him. Now, the thing is like the dwarf said, he made the mold. He had a mold. He was fashioning an axe. I think they called it the Stonebreaker in the movie.
Oh, is it Stonebreaker or Storm Killer or
Yeah, something.
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker?
It's
right?
technically the axe. It's the axe that Beta Ray Bill uses in the comic books, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Also, Ultimate Thor has the same axe. And so he had both pieces of the axe, but he needed a handle, so he went running off for the handle. And all the while, Thor's dying. He needs this axe to essentially power him back to life. So Groot grows his arm, pulls the two pieces together, fashions a handle, and cuts his arm off. And then the axe flies to Thor, and Thor wakes up. What did you think about that part, Devin and Ross, with the Groot?
I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I really liked it. I thought it was fun that was like the one moment that Groot was looking up from his
Video game. Yeah, I got a little choked up at that point.
Defender the whole time.
Yep.
The issue that I had though, like the whole time, is that there's like, I mean, this movie was just rife with pacing issues because you've got like a million characters and like they're trying to tell this big epic story. And it was relatively short. I think it was only like it was 2 hours. I was expecting like a 3-hour movie.
It was 2 hours.
Well, they're breaking it into two movies.
It was 2 hours and 30 minutes.
2 hours and 30 minutes. That's not bad. But yeah, it was a lot, and it was really crammed. And that scene I really liked, but like it just kind of happened, and then it was gone, and it felt like it was a bigger moment, or they wanted it to be a bigger moment, but it happened so quickly.
Well, no, I think I think they intentionally sold it short. So when other people were dying, you felt it felt different.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, like I didn't feel like there was much of a pacing issue here. I thought for what they had, for as many different angles of the story that they were trying to tell from, I thought there was never a dull moment. It went scene to scene, and it flowed very well. Everyone was constantly in the middle of doing something, and like this scene, it was meant to be big. You know, Groot did something, and the thing is like in retrospect to everything else that's happening, it's not really that big of a scene. It is in the aspect of Now this weapon is made, and the next time you see it used is phenomenal. Because they needed a weapon that would kill Thor or that would kill Thanos.
Yes.
And I love the fact that part of that weapon is now made of Groot.
Yes, that is really cool. No, I definitely dig that. I dig the thing. I think it's just there are a lot of moments that are really great character moments that kind of get robbed from the characters in service of this bigger thing that's happening.
All right, well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
That particular moment,
Yes.
what would you have liked to have seen differently, or how would you have extended that scene to, I guess, better fulfill that good, great deed, heroic deed from that character?
Well, it's not that I would necessarily do anything different. It's just in the course of a movie, this is a lot. There are a lot of characters doing a lot of things, and we don't really get to spend enough time with particular characters to really feel those moments that are big character moments. And that was kind of a big character moment for Groot. He's coming into his own. He is, he's a little bit distant. He's a moody teenager, and he's kind of seeing this person that he barely knows, like on the verge of death, in this like kind of catastrophic circumstance that's happening in the universe, and he's kind of called to action in a way, which is maybe not in terms of the entire story, but it's big for Groot.
Right, and I mean, for the scene that they had, I got all of those emotions out of that scene. I mean, you can tell, like, Groot, he's a man of very few words. It's all about his character development is all about his expression and his actions. So he doesn't like where other people might need a big dialogue to express a heroic moment. Groot just does things, like in the very first Guardians movie, where he pretty much grows into a giant shell and it just encompasses everybody to save them from that explosion.
Right.
I mean, that moment, I think they spent just as much time in that moment as they did in this moment. Like, there wasn't like a whole lot of time spent on that, but it was just the action.
Right, but we had that entire movie to kind of get to that, for Groot to get to that point, right?
Right.
Here we are relying in this moment, we are relying on Guardians 2 for Groot to have achieved this moment.
Right.
So this movie isn't doing any of the character. This movie is just like kind of like tacking on an ending to things that happened in previous movies. And we're on Groot right now, but they do that with like all of these characters.
But to be fair, I think that's kind of what the movie was for, though. Like, this movie is kind of, it's the penultimate movie. Like, all the other movies have been the build up to this.
Right. I get that, but I don't think I really liked it necessarily.
All right. I mean, that's fine. So do you just feel like it should have been extended upon each person a little bit more?
Maybe. I don't think I necessarily have the right answer, but like these kinds of undertakings, this is a huge deal for Marvel to be doing this. Like, Jamie and I were talking about whether or not she was going to come with me to see this, and we ultimately decided, I'm like, I don't know. I think this is just going to be a lot of like inside information that, like, if you come and see this with me, I'm probably going to be explaining it to you the whole way through, and it's not going to be a fun movie for you.
Right.
And making that like the big blockbuster movie is kind of like, I know that these movies are insanely popular and everybody has seen a lot of them. There's still a lot of like insidery stuff, and you have to remember specific things about this and that.
Oh, for sure.
So in general, it's a big risk, especially what they did with the movie. I mean, we're getting toward the end in our description, but like everything about this movie was kind of risky, and I applaud them for that. Like, I think that's really, really cool. But
Yeah.
I definitely think we talk about the rest of the movie before I dive into more of these feelings.
All right. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
So going from here, let's go visit Stark and them on the ship. So it's Stark and Spider-Man, Peter Parker. They see Ma, and essentially Ma has all of these like needle-type looking things, these very pointy objects surrounding Doctor Strange. And essentially, if he moves in any direction, he's getting skewered. And he starts pushing one of them into his cheek. It's excruciatingly painful. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to save Strange. And Spider-Man's like, hey, have you seen that really old movie Aliens? Just like in, what was it, Civil War, he made the pop culture reference, hey, have you guys seen that old movie Star Wars? You know?
Yeah.
So essentially, they blow a hole. They show they show Iron Man, and Ma sees him. Iron Man shoots a missile at the side of the hull of the ship, sucks Ma right out of it, along with all of the needles, and Doctor Strange starts flying that way, and Spider-Man grabs a hold of him with a web, and then starts trying to grab a hold of something else. That breaks, and both of them are about to go out into space, and then all of a sudden, these extra metallic arms pop out of Spider-Man's back and cling to this side of this hole, and they reel Doctor Strange back in and seal up the whole of the ship. So now you get the Iron Spidey suit, because I believe that's part of the Iron Spider suit.
Yes.
So that's kick-ass. Those come in handy later on. And then they're figuring out, okay, they are going to land this ship. They're trying to turn around. Like, Strange is like, hey, we got to turn the ship around. Can you get us back to Earth? Iron Man is like, hey, this ship is on a course to somewhere else. Thanos is going to be there. Let's take the fight to him. He won't expect that. Ultimately, they decide, all right, yeah, we'll do that. And Strange yields leadership to Stark at the moment, but he gives him the caveat. He says, hey, if it comes down to your life or that kid's life or this stone, I'm choosing this stone over both of you without a thought. Because that is his mission, protecting that stone, protecting the universe as a whole.
Moral compass. Glad we're on the same page.
Yes. So Spider-Man grabs one control, Iron Man grabs the other because it's meant for a pretty large dude. And they start trying to fly this ship down to Titan. They succeed? ?
Well, I mean, it was the donut was in pieces.
Yeah,
before it
they
ground,
crash,
so,
but
I
safely.
mean, they're all fine. Yeah, they're all fine.
Yeah.
And again, I think I messaged you, like, it doesn't look like anybody landed very well on that planet from the looks of it.
No. So, Devin, this is the scene where I believe now this is where the rest of the Guardians are, minus Gamora. There's Drax, Mantis, and Quill. They show up on Titan as well. Or they've already been here. Devin's AFK, people. All right. Ross, am I right there? Because this is where they start fighting on the ship or something, right?
Yeah, because
they think that Stark, Spider-Man, and Strange are working for Thanos.
Right. Yes.
And it comes down to sort of a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Drax is on the ground with
Iron Man holding what looks like a fucking bazooka in his face. Quill has
Drax,
Peter Parker.
And Drax is like, I can take it. Go ahead, do it. I can take it. Mantis is like, no, you can't.
No, you can't. And so Quill has Spider-Man in a headlock and pointing a gun at his head. And Strange has like his little weird mystical shield things up, but he doesn't. Him and Mantis are kind of off to the side doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And then I loved this. Quill was like, "All right, tell me this much. Where is Gamora?" And then Iron Man's like, "Okay, I'll do you one better. Who is Gamora?" And then Drax is like, "I'll do you one better. What is Gamora?" Or why is Gamora? It's like, what the hell? And that completely stumps Stark. I love how Stark, being as intellectual as he is just completely dumbfounded by Drax in these next couple interactions.
Yes.
So they decide, okay, they're all there for the same reason. Okay, these guys aren't working for Thanos. They're all there to try to stop him. So now they're going to try to formulate a plan. So Iron Man is talking to the Guardians, but only Quill is listening. And then, like, Drax is off to the side and he yawns, and Stark gets really upset. He's like, "Are you yawning? Really? We're planning. Get over here." You know?
Are you even listening? And Drax is like, "I stopped listening after you said we need to plan."
Yeah. And he just looks completely dumb. Just the look on Stark's face.
He does not know what to do with the Drax.
So they start trying to come up with a plan. Quill is like, "That's a good plan, but there's one problem. It sucks. So I should plan." Because, you know, Quill, he always wants to be the plan guy. And then Mantis points out the fact that Strange is doing something strange, right?
Yeah, does your friend always do that?
So it cuts over to Doctor Strange, who's just kind of sitting there Indian style, holding his hands out, and his face is contorting and like shifting very quickly in like all sorts of directions. And then he wakes up and he's like, "Listen, I just looked into the future at all of the probable outcomes of this upcoming fight." And they're like, "Well, how many did you see?" He's like 11 million and some stupid number.
It was millions, yeah.
Yeah. And Stark was like, "Well, how many of those do we win?" And Strange said, "One. There's only one way that this ends, you know, with us being victorious." So then Thanos comes down to the planet, right? He comes onto the planet, he starts walking, and he sees, I believe he's face to face with Strange.
Yes, but something else big happens before Thanos gets to Titan, right?
All right, what's that? Oh yeah, that's the Gamora part, right?
Gamora part,
Yeah.
yeah, because they went to get the Soul Stone.
The Soul Stone. That's right. So him and Gamora show up on this deserted planet, right? It's just like a desolate planet. There's a big giant mountain on the other side. And then I like the next scene. The next scene is just them walking up this mountain. And I thought to myself, I was like, all right, Thanos, I bet you Thanos is just walking real slow. And then they showed Thanos, and he's just walking real slow. I was like, you know, you'd figure that a guy who's wanting these gems this badly, he'd have a little bit more pep in his step. But, like, also somebody as powerful as him could probably just jump to the top of that mountain.
Right.
But no, he's just going to go for the slow walk. And then they meet the cloaked figure at the top. This apparently had a bunch of people were shocked by this.
Really?
Oh yeah, like a couple people that I talked to, they were shocked by this moment. Clay said that half his theater gasped at this moment.
Really?
When you see the cloaked figure's face, it's Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Yeah, to me, it didn't feel like a gasp moment. I'm like, huh, that's neat.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, all right, I can see this.
Fun. I like that.
Yeah, because like the last time we saw Red Skull, he was essentially, for the most part, obliterated by the Tesseract. That's where we thought he was left off. But apparently, the Tesseract held the space gem, if I remember correctly, and that actually just teleported him to this planet to oversee the Soul Gem. So he's just been stuck on this planet, overlooking the Soul Gem.
And he was like, he wasn't even just on the planet. Like, he was like, he didn't really exist in the same way. Like, he wasn't just like a floaty, cloaky boy.
Right.
Just Red Skull's head. So he was part of it was almost like punishment. Like he was so close to the stone, but he could never
Obtain it.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, fun fact: Hugo Weaving played Red Skull in the Captain America movie. The return was not Hugo Weaving.
I was wondering.
Which I thought it sounded a lot like him. To me personally. But yeah, it's some dude from The Walking Dead. I don't remember the guy's name, though. I looked it up earlier.
How many people from The Walking Dead were in Avengers Infinity War, do you think?
I know of 2.
It was Ross McQuard.
Yeah,
McQuan?
I think that's the guy who played Red Skull. And then the woman who played Denai Guerrera, something like that, the woman who played Michonne, played, I believe, Black Panther's second in command person, the bald chick.
Yep.
Were there more? Those are the only 2 I know of. Or did you not know? You were just inquiring.
I was just inquiring. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were quizzing me here.
It just felt like there were a lot.
Yeah. So they meet him. Red Skull explains that he knows why Thanos is here, and the Red Skull's purpose is to show Thanos what he needs to do to acquire the gem. Essentially, it needs a sacrifice. Thanos needs to sacrifice something that he loves to acquire the gem. And this is where Gamora starts kind of cry laughing. And she's just telling Thanos how, she's always wanted him to fail at things, and she's never gotten her wish until now because Thanos ultimately loves nothing and loves no one. And he turns around and he has a tear rolling down his cheek, and she kind of scoffs at that. And then Red Skull says that that's not for him. And then it clicks that he actually does care for Gamora. As much hell as he's put her through, or whatever that she thinks he put her through, she is the one person that he does care about. I don't necessarily know that I cared about this little twist in arc, but whatever. It is what it is. My homeboy has feelings. What up? So he grabs her by the arm. She starts struggling, and he pauses very, very briefly and hucks her ass off a cliff.
Yep.
He pretty much states that the hardest things to do require the hardest wills. And then just tosses her off. She splats on the bottom. There's this energy impulse of power, and then he's holding on to the soul gem. And he holds it over the gauntlet, and it gets sucked into its proper place upon his gauntlet. Now we fast forward a little bit. He shows up on Titan. And Doctor Strange, I believe, is sitting there, and they start exchanging words. And then I think Stark essentially has a giant piece of spaceship or debris, and just pile drives it down on top of Thanos.
Pretty much.
Now, the plan here for, Stark, Strange, Spider-Man, and the Guardians, they're not going to try to beat Thanos. They know that that's not going to happen. They're just going to try to restrain him enough to get the gauntlet off. Now, this fight scene, Devin, do you want to take, since this was your favorite fight scene, you want to talk a little bit about it? Devin's AFK again. He literally just pops in. He pops in just for oh, here's the name of a guy that you've been missing because I'm not really paying attention to you. I'm going to go now for a little bit longer. I think this is my punishment for allowing this co-host war between him and Edquist to go on. He's like, dude, you don't acknowledge me as your real co-host. I'm just not going to be. I'm going to leave you hanging when you call on me for shit.
What's up?
There you go. Oh, he's back. Look. We're talking about the fight scene on Titan. And I was going to ask if you wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Definitely.
We
that was
left
my
off.
favorite.
We left off with Iron Man pretty much pile driving a piece of debris on top of him, and then I went into the plan here for the group on Titan was not to beat Thanos, but to just acquire the glove.
Contain and disarm him. Which I feel like that glove was on way tighter than it should have been.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a glove, so as long as his fingers are curled, you're not getting it off. But go ahead, Devin. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about this. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So. Like you said, they crashed. Tony Stark crashed to bring on them. They started off on their plan of kind of fast move, kind of like fast moving. Wouldn't let him clench his fist. Fast moving, hit moves. It's kind of they went with a stick and move strategy until they could contain him, or try to contain him, and it actually was working quite well.
I loved like they were all kind of jumping around. Strange was making portals and little holes, so like Spidey would like jump and punch him in the face and then disappear into another hole.
What was he saying? Every time you pop out, he would say something. What was he saying?
I don't remember. It was great though.
It was. But yeah, so that was happening. And it was working. They got him on the ropes, and it took all of them. It took like 5 people to try to pull this glove off. All of which who are super strong, by the way.
Yes.
They're all pulling on this glove, get this glove off. And the glove is almost off, and Quill goes, he starts asking about Gamora. He's questioning about where's Gamora, why, what have you done with her?
And at this point, Mantis is kind of subduing Thanos.
She's sitting on his shoulders, subduing him.
And Stark keeps telling him, he's like, dude, just Quill, back away. Not right now. We're almost fucking there, dude. Like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. We're almost there, Quill. We're almost there. And then Quill keeps pushing it, and then Mantis is like, he's mourning. He's sad. And, she's kind of getting a feel for his emotions. And then that's when Nebula is like, basically Nebula confirms that he killed Gamora.
Yeah.
And Quill loses his shit. Kind of like when he found out his dad killed his mom. Although it was
he didn't go Super Saiyan though.
Yeah, he did. He didn't go Super Pac-Man. I was really hoping they would have brought that out. I was really hoping
like,
it would have been Pac-Man.
Is that something that he just can't do anymore now? Like
I don't think because he drew the power from the planet. I don't think he has the planet blue. I don't think he has the connection to power anymore.
Yeah.
But it's really funny.
But he just starts pistol whipping Thanos in the face.
Yeah.
And that kind of wakes Thanos up out of his daze from Mantis.
And right at that point, this was how close they got. Right as soon as he pretty much wakes up from that, you see the gauntlet, and it's going over his fingers now, and he grips it between his fingers and his thumb. That's how far they got the gauntlet off. They were literally right there, and Quill fucked it up.
Yep, Quill fucked it up. In classic Guardians of the Galaxy fashion.
And then Thanos proceeds to whoop some ass.
Yes. And I have one issue with this fight.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't care how good that armor is. Are we going to address the fact that Tony Stark got crushed by a meteor coming in from orbit?
Yeah.
Like, and it was not a small meteor, and it wasn't like he boosted it and caught it and like it still landed on him, like he slowed the momentum. Like, no, he was just flat up flying around and then just caught a meteor right to the face and then went straight into the ground with the meteor.
Yeah.
He should not have lived that. I'm just going to say that, or his armor should not have been in the condition it was in when he came out of that.
that was pretty crazy though. That point where Thanos just kind of like he's pissed off.
He's fractured a moon and just started crashing it down. That's beautiful.
Yes, that was wild.
Talk about wild. I loved the part where Doctor Strange does that weird like 9 arms thing.
Yeah, he looks like He looks like what is it? Who is it? Deva?
No,
The
it's
Buddhist guy is it Deva? Who is it?
I think it's Kali.
Kali, yeah.
Kali, like the goddess of death or whatever.
Yep.
And like he splits into like 100 Doctor Stranges, and then all whips down and like starts trying to restrain Thanos again. And Thanos is just like, yeah, fuck this. Let's just blow away all of the fake ones.
That's what I'm convinced. I'm convinced if Strange encountered Thanos, like where he was at the beginning of the movie, Strange probably could have not solo Thanos, but put up a pretty damn good fight by himself.
Probably.
Because he did all that without tapping into the time gem. Like if he used the time gem,
oh, for sure. I mean, and the guy told him, like Thanos told him, he's like, you guys did good, but you didn't use your greatest weapon against me. You know, and then he crushed the amulet because it wasn't holding the time gem at that point. So, but yeah, I was kind of convinced. Like I was kind of curious. Like as soon as Strange knew about this, why didn't he just put Thanos in a time loop? Like he did in the Strange movie, where it's just him and Thanos over and over again.
Better question is, when they were on the ship, why was he concerned about turning the ship around? Why didn't he just make a portal and get off the ship?
Yeah, I thought the same fucking thing. Maybe there's a cosmic range that he's able to do that at. Like as long as he's within Earth's atmosphere, he can go anywhere on the planet. But maybe he can't do.
He's like, Tony, I don't have any bars out here. Do you? What
Yeah, he had no Wi-Fi signal.
My magical bar reception is not here. I can't do it.
But the other good part that I thought, this whole fight scene was great. I loved this fight scene. Spider-Man spent half the time just trying to make sure that the Guardians didn't die. Like he was like wrapping up Mantis and like making sure that Drax didn't fall to his death, and he was just like pretty much securing them. He webbed Thanos in the eyes like he does in the comics.
He's like, I got you. I'm sorry, I don't remember any of your names.
Yep. But the fight scene between Iron Man and Thanos, where Thanos is like, with every punch, like taking chunks out of Tony's armor, he like rips the helmet off twice. I like when Stark like stomps down on the gauntleted glove, and then like his armor makes like this weird like clamp thing to hold it down, and then Tony turns his hand into like essentially like a giant piston and just slugs Thanos in the side of the head, and Thanos reaches up and just touches it, and he's like, all that work for just a drop of blood, and then just literally annihilates fucking Iron Man.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, it shows you that yes, Thanos is not a god. He can be hurt, but god damn, does it take a lot to do it. You know, because not even that big fucking the debris that Iron Man squished him with, not even that hurt him. So, so yeah, there's this fight, and then essentially, Stark tries to make like a blade out of his arm, and Thanos rips the blade thing out and stabs Stark with it, and then he, then it cuts to Wakanda, I think.
I think we've been cutting back and forth between Wakanda the whole time.
Yeah.
I think this, like, let's finish off Titan.
All right. So essentially, Thanos gives like this dialogue, and he's about to kill Stark because he has him stabbed through the midsection at least.
He's like slowly walking the blade up to his chest.
Yeah, and so Strange tells him to stop. And he says, hey, I'll give you the time gem if you spare his life. And Stark obviously is like, don't. What are you doing? Like, he's dying in pain, but he's like, don't. And Thanos says, no tricks. Holds out his hand. And Doctor Strange, plucks the time gem out of midair. It looks like he's like, you can see like the stars in the sky, and it looks like he grabs one of those and plucks it out, and that's this time gem. Like, just the way it looked funny to me. And then he just floated it over to Thanos' hand. Thanos grabbed it, put it in his glove. I believe that's when he just kind of bamped out, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's going to get that last gem. He says, there's one more left, and he leaves. Um,
And while that's going on, we have the giant battle in Wakanda, I think, right?
yeah. Now there's
Yeah.
this giant battle. They get Vision there, and they're like, "Okay, we'll buy you the time that you need. Try to get this gem out of Vision's head." Um, and then there's a big battle. There's like these meteor type things crashing down. One of them hits the force field around Wakanda and just shatters. A bunch of debris is getting slung up against this force field. So they amass their armies. They get out there. Bruce has the Hulk Buster armor.
Oh, speaking of armor, I'm happy and upset that they just introduced the bleeding edge armor on Stark without they didn't mention it, but that's effectively the armor he was using. That's like his bleeding edge armor.
That's it. Yeah,
Which is
his
pretty cool.
nano suit.
Yeah,
armor.
which is like the upgrade of Extremis, but it's
Right.
like they just didn't. It's really funny.
Yep.
There's no mention of that. But that's okay. Yeah.
So they earlier on you see King T'Chaka go up and they talk about the White Wolf and they're carrying like this big suitcase type thing. And then you see Bucky all dressed in kind of like rags, just in normal ass clothing. And he walks up and they open up the suitcase and it's Bucky's arm. And then he just looks up. He's like, "When's the fight? Or who are we fighting or whatever?" And T'Chaka's like, "It's coming. Just get ready." So like, is Bucky staying there as penance?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that was my. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he was hiding there because after Civil War, I think Cap brought him to Wakanda to hide him.
Oh, all right. I'm
Yeah,
not
he
sure.
did.
Was
That
that
happened,
explained in
I
Black
think
Panther?
in Black Panther it was my roommate I saw it with. He said basically they wiped Wakanda. They wiped all the programming out of him.
Gotcha.
They wiped that out of him, and he just kind of is living his life there. My only complaint about that is it's like, okay, I get it. Like he's being like all like nomadic farmer, but you couldn't just. I mean, I understand not giving him a weaponized arm, but could you just give him a regular ass arm to make his life easier?
Right. Like even a simplified robotic arm or something.
Yeah, just like, can you just give him arms? You'd have to plow this land with one arm. Like I'm just gonna plow this land with this one arm. Don't mind me.
So then they're gonna amass this army. They all decide to go out, march out on this field. All of the armies of Wakanda kind of meet up. And then you see the two people who attacked Vision earlier. There was I guess the one chick with like the spear, and then the big dude with the hammer or the axe.
Mhm.
And then you see all these monsters, like these just crazy ass monster looking things, come rushing out of the woods, and they just ram up against this force field, and you see them actually prying through the force field and then like getting cut in half, like, so you get a sense like you can get through, and some of them were getting through unscathed. It's not going to allow freely everybody to roam. But then they noticed that these monsters started trying to flank them, like they were going around the edges. So Black Panther essentially said, "Okay, open up this one little tiny section and let them all funnel through there, and we'll just try to contain that. Like if there's one open area, they'll stop trying to flank and they'll just head for the open area." So they do that for a little while, and you have Falcon flying around, you have War Machine laying grenades and missiles everywhere.
That was pretty fun.
And then all of the armies start rushing like towards them, and you see Black Panther obviously sprinting way faster ahead of everybody, and then you see Captain America just kind of keeping pace with him, like, and then they just dive in. It was a good fight scene. It was one of those on par with like the Lord of the Rings big battles. Like you have the small fights that are more personal, like the fight on Titan, the fight in New York, and then you have these large-scale attack wars. Now, all the while they're fighting, these big-ass machines kind of start popping up. And I don't know what these were. These are like there were kind of like smaller versions of the spaceship that rolled around on the ground and essentially just killed everybody that it touches.
Hmm. Yeah, they were like blades or something like that on them.
Yeah.
They were wheels.
They
So-
honestly look like they were like terraforming almost. Like they were
Yeah.
almost like made for terraforming, but they just kind of repurposed them as weapons.
Right.
Hmm.
So these things pop up, and Wanda sees this. She's up hanging out with Vision, keeping everybody safe. But she sees these things, so she goes down, and just as these things are about to slam, Wanda fucking knocks them all over, crushes them, makes them sideswipe the enemy, and she's gnarly with her powers. But the second she's out on the field, one of the Thanos' lieutenants there gives the order for somebody to go get the gem. And he's already essentially inside the premises. He's the stealthy assassin guy. And then there's some struggle inside while he's killing Wakandans trying to get the Vision. And then Vision tackles him out a window.
Yep.
And then they figure, okay, there's a Vision thing happening. We should probably go try to save that. So some of the forces have to now split. And there's a fight between the lady with the spear, who works for Thanos, versus Wanda, Black Widow, and the other lady that is Black Panther's like right hand lieutenant person.
Not Michonne.
Yeah, the Michonne, not Michonne person.
Yeah.
And then there's the big dude with the hammer.
I think it's Okoye. Okoye?
Yeah, that sounds right. And then there's the big dude with the hammer who goes after Vision, and then Bruce with the Hulkbuster armor kind of stops them, and they get into fighting each other. And the whole time, Bruce is inside saying, "All right, dude, you now would be the time to pop up. If you're waiting for an entrance, this is the best moment. This is the only moment left. You need to do it." And Hulk emerges, says no, and then goes back away. And Bruce just gives up. He says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And he acts up. He ends up winning that little tiny fight.
He handles his business.
He handles his business. Now, I like the nod of Bruce where he says, "I'll do it myself," because that was a nod back to, I believe it was Avengers: Age of Ultron post-credit scenes. It was one of the post-credit scenes with Thanos where Thanos grabs the gauntlet and he just looks at the camera and says, "I'll do it myself." Am I missing anything fight-wise here?
Not really.
All right.
I mean, Thor comes flying and kicking ass everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's the next part. Thor comes flying in with Rocket and Groot. And, he's just like, he lightning bombs the battlefield and starts flinging people everywhere. There was a really cool moment with Rocket and Bucky where Rocket is hanging off of Bucky's arm. Bucky's holding out his machine gun with one arm, and he's just spinning in circles, and Rocket's just shooting, and he's shooting. And then there's like a little interaction. Rocket asks him how much for the gun, and Bucky says it's not for sale. He says, "Well, how much for the arm?" And then Bucky just starts walking away, and Rocket's like, "I'm gonna get that arm."
And I have one question about this whole scene here. So Wakanda, they
Okay.
have vibranium. They have like cloth cloaks that create energy barriers.
Mhm.
They have spears that can take down tanks.
They have spears that shoot lasers too. Apparently.
Shoot lasers, and they can throw them out, and they can take
Yep.
down tanks.
Yep.
All that, and they give Bucky this new arm. They give him this old ass machine gun.
Oh, that's Bucky's machine gun. He that's his personal machine.
I
He
know,
loves that
I
gun.
know.
He
But
does
I fe-
work with that gun.
He does, but I just feel like in this situation,
No, he does not get a laser machine gun.
you get an upgrade.
Nope. Hey, for all you know, maybe he's using vibranium bullets.
That wouldn't be good.
I don't know.
That wouldn't be good because vibranium absorbs kinetic energy, so that wouldn't be good.
Hey, I don't. You're right. You got me.
You've been got.
I've been got, people. It would not work.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work well.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been done in
Anyway,
the comics.
It's like
some
like
explanation.
rubber bullets or something.
Right.
It's like, oh man, that's not working. So now Vision's all fucked up, and Cap goes out there, saves him. Everybody's just kind of like condensing down onto Vision to help Vision, and then finally, I think does Wanda hop down there, and then they do their little interaction, or is this the time where Thanos pops in now? Kind of
I think
happened at the
popped
same
in.
time.
Yeah, I think kind of around the same time. Thanos popped in, and then that's when Cap. They all kill. She kills the one girl, and they all kind of rally back up. Like
Yeah.
the majority of the troops rally back up together, and then they
And-
call, and then Thanos pops in, and then that's when Steve gives the order to like everybody on me.
Yeah. And then Vision essentially is telling Wanda, listen, I'm sorry that it has to be you. It shouldn't be, but it has to be you. You need to destroy this gem. Don't let that guy have it. You know, that's how I pictured this happening, because Thanos was right in the background of Vision, and like I just imagine Vision leaning up against this log, like half dead, and he's like, "You need to destroy this thing before that guy comes like 10 more feet." So up to
as he's literally just walking around like pimp slapping the Avengers out of the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do like
That's
the one scene.
That's effectively what he's doing. He's just backhanding the Avengers out of the way.
And
Right.
I brought this up to Devin earlier. I really liked this one scene where he goes and with the Infinity Gauntlet fist, he goes to punch Captain America, and Captain America with both of his hands grabs and holds onto the glove and manages to start pushing it back. Like he's holding his own, just holding onto the glove. And Thanos, like you can kind of see this look of like on Thanos' face, like, who the fuck do you think you are? And then he just fucking cold cocks him with his other hand, knocks his ass right down to the ground. I loved it. Man. Thanos, I'm so happy Thanos wrecked everyone. I'm sorry. It had to be said. I'll have after credits announcements for this. Anyway, so Thanos he's approaching Vision now. He knows where this gem is. Wanda finally shatters it. There's a big explosion. And then Thanos, he picks Wanda up. He kind of pats her on the back of the head, says, it's fine. Then he uses the time gem and literally rewinds time to before she blew it up. Reaches down, grabs it, and literally, like, it looks like he's trying to pinch it with his thumb and his pointer finger.
It looks like he's trying to use fucking use the skadoosh move.
Yeah.
From fucking Kung Fu Panda.
And like he pinches the gem, and then you figure, okay, he's just gonna rip the gem. He rips the whole front part of Vision's skull out.
Like oh.
And then Vision just goes gray and just falls over.
I mean, to be fair, if they pinched the front of your front skull out too, you go gray too.
Maybe. And then he puts that gem into his gauntlet, right? And you see this sudden surge of power. Now he has all 6 gems. And then in comes Thor.
Yeah, he like gloats for a quick moment, and then in comes Thor.
All of a sudden, bam, axe to the chest. And then Thor swoops down, pins him, and starts pushing it in slowly, and does like this monologue of, I told you you'd be the one to die, or I'd get revenge, and blah, blah, blah. And then Thanos is trying to whisper stuff. And you see Thor, and like he's like waiting. He's like, yeah, and what do you guys say? What do you guys say? And Thanos is like, you should have aimed for the head. And then he snaps his fingers. That's the infamous snap in the comic books. The second they brought it up once earlier, the second he snaps his fingers, once he has all 6 gems, half the universe just vanishes. So, I forget. At this point, when he does that, he vanishes, right? Too?
Yeah, he disappears.
He disappears, and that just leaves Thor and the rest of everyone standing around, and then you get a cutscene going from place to place. You go back to Titan. This is where Doctor Strange tells Tony, because Tony's like, "Why did you give him the gem?" And Strange is like, "This is the way it had to be." Strange is the one who saw the millions and millions of outcomes, and this is the one way that they apparently have to do this to beat Thanos. And then Strange just fades into dust. You see Drax fade into just ash. Mantis into ash. There's a scene with Peter Parker where he kind of collapses. He says he's not feeling great, and he collapses into Stark's arms. And Stark just kind of like lays him down, and Peter, there's like this heart-to-heart moment, says he doesn't want to go, and Ash. I believe Black Widow ashed.
Yeah, basically all of the Guardians except for Rocket.
Falcon ashed. Black Widow got turned
Peter
to ash.
Yeah, he did.
Black Panther ashed when he was trying to get his second in command up.
What's his name? Ash too.
Who?
Not War Machine, the other guy.
Falcon?
Falcon, he ashed.
Falcon ashed.
War Machine was looking for him, and he was just about to find him, and he ashed.
Yep. Trying to think of who else. Bucky turned to ash when he was walking up to Steve Rogers. So essentially, the only people who didn't get ashed, you have Thor, Steve Rogers, Captain America didn't ash, Iron Man, War Machine, and Rocket.
Bruce.
Oh yeah, Bruce Banner didn't ash. Scarlet Witch, she ashed. So
Vision's just dead, so.
Yeah, Vision just dead. And then we get this scene of Thanos walking up to a figure, and it's a young Gamora, and she asked him if he did it, and he nodded. And then she asked what it costed him, and he said everything. And then you get a couple more Ash scenes. And then the final scene, you see Thanos kind of limping because he did get stabbed in the chest with an axe. Not just any
Born
axe.
of a star.
Yeah. And he kind of limps and just sits down, and you see him, he's sitting admiring a landscape, essentially, and he just smiles. And that's the end of that.
Credits.
And I loved that scene because Thanos was smiling, and he's my homeboy, and I'm so glad he fucking murdered half the world and the universe. And
Wait, now I've got to know. What is it about Thanos that you like so much?
I just
Big.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just something about his character. I'm just drawn to it. Like I love Thanos. The makeup of the character. I'd say he's kind of unique. He's not really. I mean, he is a Titan. He's from Titan. He is a Titan. He is just super strong. He's able to hold his own. With the Infinity Gauntlet, he's even better. But like in the comics, his motivations, people don't realize that he does really fucked up shit for what presumably okay reasons. At least in Thanos' eyes. I don't know. I can't explain it. Don't put me on the spot. All right? I just love him. You know what? I love him even more after this movie because of how many people fucking hate him. You know what? All you people who have seen this movie, listen to this podcast, and they're like, I fucking hated Thanos. He killed off some of my favorite characters. Good. I'm fucking glad. They should have been killed off sooner, and then you could hate somebody else. But no, Thanos had the honor, nay, the privilege to do it himself.
See, I think I don't like Thanos because I don't think he's a very good villain, at least as presented in this movie.
Well, no, because he's trying to do something good.
No. I think like his motivations are super, super lazy and super, super like they like as bare bones in terms of like destroying the universe as you get. Like it's barely a twist that like he's trying to form some sort of balance. When like there's like there's not really balance to what he like cutting it in half isn't necessarily balance. It's not restoring anything. And I'm sure that like he's not supposed to have thought this through terribly well. He's just like a big dumb villain, basically. And
Well, I
like
mean,
he's like the least interesting villain of almost any Marvel movie that they've made from Marvel Studios, as far as I'm concerned.
well,
Like,
I see what you're saying,
yeah.
and I don't like it.
That's
But I mean, he did.
cool.
He
That's
had
fine.
that conversation with Gamora to try to
Yeah.
justify his ideals on this. And like he told Gamora, he's like, when I found you, you were starving, fighting for just scraps of food because of how overpopulated your planet was. And she accused him. She's like, yeah, you killed off half the planet. And he's like, yes, I did. But it was random. It wasn't just, oh, the rich and powerful get to survive. Everybody had a chance at this. I killed off half your planet. Now, if you go back there, it is a beautiful, lush planet, and all of the children that are born there are born with full bellies. They don't have to fight for food or resources. That was his whole thing. His resources are so finite in this universe
Mhm.
that the worlds in the universe are getting so overpopulated that if he cut it in half, that would give a better life for the rest of the people. Every so often, you just need to cull the civilizations, essentially. Which, I mean, it's not.
AKA, don't put warnings on side pods.
Yes, yes.
Well, I think the thing that's like
If I get the Infinity Gauntlet, I'm removing all the warning labels off everything. There you go.
That is what I would do with the Gauntlet too. That is the first thing I would do.
what I thought was kind of what I didn't think was that impressive about it is a lot of times like really great villains kind of have are conflicted in such a way that they've got this vision and they're trying to do the right thing in all the wrong ways, right? And this was kind of presented as that, but like it was just so lazy on Thanos to just like do the finger snap. Like it's just like, how about relocation of resources? How about like fixing institutions?
Oh, for sure. No, he very certainly could have, with the power of that gauntlet, he could have renewed all resources so no one had to die.
Right.
You know, he could have done that. But the thing is his will and his mission, quote unquote, happened first on his planet. He was not able to stop it from happening.
Right.
And his at the time, his idea was literally kill off half the population, save the planet. And everyone thought he was insane, and then the planet died. So that just further cemented his beliefs into stone.
Well, no, even more so than that, even deeper than that. He even cemented it when he said that he kind of alluded to the fact that they wouldn't have cared about killing off half the people, but he said it should be random, rich and poor alike.
Right.
And that's where they kind of caught issue. Like that's how he kind of presented it. Like if he just said, "Hey, we should kill all the poor people," they probably would have been with it.
Right.
But when he said it should just be random.
So the
and
thing is,
equal,
like Ross, I think the thing is like before he even had the idea of having a gauntlet made and searching for these stones, this happened. So he's been living with this ideal in his mind for so long that once he got the gauntlet, I don't think the thought of, oh, I can just snap my fingers and just renew resources, I don't think that crossed his mind. He was now tunnel visioned into this is what needs to happen for the universe to thrive once again.
I get it. I just don't think it's that interesting.
Right. And I mean, that's fine. In the comic books, he literally, he was killing off half of people just to please death.
Right.
like he's in the comic books. Everything he does for love, because he's in love with the embodiment of death.
And I wish that was in this movie so that Deadpool would have had an excuse to show up.
Exactly. And that is another reason I love Thanos so much, is because Thanos and Deadpool have this weird thing happening.
They have a rivalry.
They do.
They have a rivalry.
Well, it's a one-sided rivalry, though. Deadpool gives zero shits. Thanos hates Deadpool because
Death loves. So Thanos loves Death. Death loves Deadpool. Deadpool doesn't give a shit about either one of them.
Right. But see, there's a reason behind this. Thanos loves Death. The reason that Death loves
because she can't kill him
is because Deadpool is the one person she can't have now. Because he can't die.
Yeah.
And so Thanos sees this and he fucking despises Deadpool. You know? But like, so everything Thanos does, he does for love in the comics. And so like he does, even in the comics, he has a heart. He has feelings. He's not just this emotionalist person. And they portrayed that in the movie. You know, he did say he lost everything to do this. You know, it humanizes Thanos to a degree.
Very, very slightly.
It does though. You know, I don't know. I love Thanos. You know what? I'm glad Black Panther's dead. I'm glad Bucky's gone. All right.
Well, I mean now,
hey, Ross, are you a fan of Peter Parker?
Yeah.
I'm fucking glad he's dead. Austin, you heard me. I'm glad he's fucking toast.
Now, like, I do want to say that I enjoyed the movie. I had fun watching it. I liked it. I didn't hate the movie. I've got problems with it as a movie, but I liked it as a Marvel fan.
Okay.
One of the reasons that I don't like it as a movie was because I don't like it when they do this in the comics anyway. And this is something that's really, really common in comics, where they like murder all these people and I can't believe Black Panther's dead, and Peter Parker is dead. Oh no! But like, there's no depth to it because there's no permanence.
Right.
In a second in comics.
Right. And
which is why I don't get why people are so on the nose. Like, it's going to get fixed.
Me and Devin talked about this earlier too.
And I said when you really think about it, I said everyone who, like 80% of the characters that died were characters that were getting more ongoing movies.
Right.
So that's going to get changed. Like there's going to be a Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain.
Now,
of that.
Ross, get this, all right?
Yeah.
I know people based off of stuff that they've been posting without, spoiler-ish free, and then offhand comments from people who have told me how when they went to the theater, how people around them were acting. There were people who were completely devastated by this movie. Like, they came out of the movie crying. They came out of the movie sitting in their car contemplating what just happened. They're putting way too much thought into this when honestly, in the next Infinity War movie or whichever movie, when they actually beat Thanos, they're just going to use one of those gems to fix everything that just got fucked up.
Right. And
like
what I did when I
it's
left out
not
the movie?
permanent.
You know what I did when I left out the movie? Went to Buffalo Wild Wings because it was.
I got in my car and recorded.
It was traditional Tuesday, so
Ross got in his car, recorded a podcast. You know what I did when the credits started rolling and I finished watching my movie? No, I just looked at the TV. I was like, my man, fucking Thanos. I'm glad he should have killed more people.
I know I'm going to buy you for your birthday, Webby.
What? I already have a Thanos action figure.
No, I'm going to buy you an Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh my god! I have an Infinity Gauntlet bottle opener stuck to my fridge.
No, I'm gonna get you like a wearable one. Or I'm gonna like recreate like a Nintendo Power Glove and.
Oh my god, that would be fucking phenomenal!
Wow,
I would wear it all the time.
He's like in the shower with it on, like.
You wouldn't. I'll never wash this hand again.
Well, he doesn't have to because his gloves never coming off again.
Yeah. God damn it. So overall, on a scale from 1 to 10, Ross, how would you rate this movie?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I feel like I need to process this because I always have like immediate reactions to movies, and then I spend a little bit of time
No thinking. Immediate reaction to the movie. One to 10.
1 to 10. 6.
I see your 6, and I raise it by 4. Devin, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this?
And I raised it by about a 3.5. I would give it a 9, 9.5.
Okay, I see your 9, 9.5. I raise it by 1, 1.5.
Put it this way. I'm gonna say this. I give it a 9, 9.5, but I can totally 100% see if you give it a 10.
I am giving it a 10.
I could lean towards a 10. It was a fun movie for me. I really had no real complaints. Like I had nitpick complaints, but I had no real complaints about it. I just don't like giving out 10. That's just me.
Now, Ross, let me tell you this. I don't know if this is going to help any type of theory or anything.
It won't, but go ahead.
It won't. It really won't. Thanos as a character. Now, every villain has some form of a weakness. Okay.
Mhm.
Same with every hero has some sort of weakness, right?
Mhm.
One of Thanos' weaknesses is that he always sets himself up for failure.
You know what to say.
Hmm.
Really?
Come on, that's kind of interesting. Like he puts himself into predicaments.
You cut out.
Whatever. Your face.
I knew what you were saying though, but no, he always does. Like the running joke of Thanos in the comics is like he literally gets these objects of power and rarely gets to ever use them. He usually gets them and loses them almost immediately.
Right. So don't worry. He'll set himself up for failure, Ross.
Oh, that's not my concern. Real, like my concern. Like again, I thought the movie was really fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I more have a problem with it just as a movie. Like it didn't.
All right. We're talking to Ross, whose probably favorite supervillain's probably fucking Rhino from Spider-Man. All right, Doc Ock over here.
I can't believe I actually got into an argument with a dude over he thought Rhino could be Juggernaut. I said, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, get out. Get out.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm
Ross,
like, stand up where you are and get the fuck out.
Ross, who would win in a fight, Rhino or Juggernaut?
Juggernaut.
All right.
Thank you.
What are you talking about?
Thank you. I was like, what's wrong?
I feel like we peer pressured Ross into this.
into this answer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
Yo, who would win in a fight, Juggernaut or the Scorpion?
Or what?
The Scorpion from Spider-Man.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Scorpion would probably put up a Juggernaut.
All right. Who would win in a fight? Juggernaut or Juggernaut from the movie?
Oh,
For
sure.
X-Men movie. I mean, come on.
Comic book Juggernaut all the way.
That sick one-liner, though. I'm the Juggernaut.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
That's a sick one-liner. Like, come on now. You know, he's got that.
God damn him.
He's going to say that to the real Juggernaut. Juggernaut's going to be like, well, oh, fuck, you're right. I mean, I guess I'm not the Juggernaut anymore. He's going to lose his confidence and fucking go home. Like, fuck, I'm not.
He's just going to go hide the, what is it, the Sidorak gem or whatever.
The gem of Sidorak.
Yeah, he's gonna take the Juggernaut powers off of himself out of shame. Anyway, back to the movie. So we all here at SU give it a 10. It's good.
Yep.
We heard the numbers.
There was the post-credit scene, which was not much to talk about. Ross, did you see the post-credit scene?
Yes, I did. Yep.
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, not really much to talk about. It cuts to Hill and Fury driving down, presumably the streets of New York.
Yep.
Or some other equally crowded city. And then they are just kind of trading conversations back and forth, and then they get into a car accident. And they go to check on the guy in the seat. He's not there. Nobody's driving, and people start fading away. Hill, he tells Hill to send out a distress signal. And then she looks, she says something. He looks at her, and she starts fading away. She starts dusting, and then he runs. He's like, "Oh shit!" He starts running over to the bag, pulls out looks like a beeper. It legitimately looks like a fucking beeper.
Yes, it does.
He pulls out this distress beeper from like 1985. Like it probably was left over from that really old movie Alien as a prop. He fucking pulls it out and fucking makes a distress beacon. As he's doing that, he starts dusting and he gets in his signature Samuel L. Jackson motherfucker, and he fades away right before he says the word. And then
on the beeper.
Yep, and then it zooms into the beeper, and we see Captain Marvel's logo.
Now, a question I have for you. According to Clay was telling me earlier, he was reading a little bit about this. The upcoming Captain Marvel movie apparently takes place before any of this happens.
Yes, it's probably going to be her origin story, and then that's going to make sense, and then she'll be popping in the second one. So her movie's going to come out after. I think her movie's the next movie to come out.
All right, so if she...
No, Scott... Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ant-Man and Wasp, yeah.
And then after that, she's the next one, I believe,
so
to come out.
If her movie takes place before this, and they establish her as a person, obviously she's associated with Nick Fury in some fashion because he's got a beeper with her. Why was she not here to whoop Thanos' ass, huh? Yeah, you know why? I have an answer for that. She wanted to see all these fucking would-be superheroes fucking gone, too. How's that for an answer?
Clear in space.
Yep.
She was into Tahiti.
Oh, call back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I wanted Agent Coulson to show up. I wanted Quake to show up.
Yeah, no, I was really hoping that they'd incorporate some of the people from S.H.I.E.L.D.
I do and I don't. Like, I laugh and I say, really, in reality, like, when I think of that team, like, what the fuck are they going to do?
Hey,
like,
Quake would have been pretty dope on that Wakanda battlefield.
Yeah, Quake would have been dope on the battlefield. I admit that. That would have been cool. But then you have Mac with a shotgun axe, fucking May running around doing nothing.
You wouldn't have necessarily needed them there. Just, get... Okay,
unless they're flying around in a fucking Quinjet, like raining down fire from a Quinjet.
Well, I mean, you could have just had that.
But I think the whole thing is, like, I don't think any of the Avengers still know that Coulson's alive.
True.
That might be true.
I don't think any of the Avengers know Coulson's alive. They all think he's dead.
I don't know. I'm hoping with the loss of so many superheroes.
And technically, if you go by the current canon, if this season was taking place during all this on Earth at the time, then they're in the future.
Okay.
Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now they were in the future for this season.
Well,
so if this took place during that time, they're in the future, so they can't.
I'm holding my hopes up that possibly there's at least the possibility in the next Infinity War movie. I know if John's listening, he said that it's not going to be called Infinity War, whatever.
It's going to be called something. And I think there's actually bets in Vegas to guess the name right now. There's actually odds in Vegas.
In the next part 2 of this story arc, okay, I'm hoping with the loss of so many superheroes in this movie that possibly they'll maybe incorporate some of the TV ones in the next movie to fix things. Yeah, the Defenders, the Netflix shows that are very much they're in the same universe. Why not use them?
Yep.
Because are you telling me right now, Devin, that
can't be the protector of Harlem if there's no Harlem?
I'm trying to think here. Rand, who the fuck? The fucking
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. Are you telling me Iron Fist wouldn't have been a fucking good add-on in this fucking movie?
No, he wouldn't have been. Not at all.
What if he was ashed at the end of the movie?
That would have been the greatest contribution in the history of all.
I am right. People love seeing superheroes get ashed.
He still could be. Iron Man 2, Episode 1, he gets ashed. End of Iron Man 2. Or, sorry, not Iron Man 2. Well, Iron Man 2 can fucking get ashed, too.
Best season of Iron Fist ever. Iron Fist
Season 2 is literally 1 episode long. He comes up, he wakes up, he's monologuing, he's like, I'm Danny Rand. He looks in the mirror and just fades away.
I'm Iron Fist.
I'm Iron Fist.
I am protector of
the part I fucking hate about that movie is I actually love Iron Fist as a fucking character. I just don't like Finn Jones playing Iron Fist.
Yeah, well.
You're sorry. That's what it is.
But I mean, like Ross said, like Luke Cage would have been beneficial. Like he could have just been there and had like 5 of those monsters biting down on him, and he just have this confused look on his face, like I don't know what they're trying to do. Like, you know, just throw Jessica Jones out there. She can private eye her way across the battlefield.
Shit, yes.
You know,
She can drink her way across the battlefield.
Yep.
Honestly, though, like so let's break down where everybody else is right now. Jessica Jones has no interest in being a superhero for the most part.
Yep.
Fucking Daredevil is last we saw was in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Cage is arrested, and Iron Fist is useless. So yeah, that's why we didn't get a Defenders.
And now I'm hoping that in the next movie,
you know what?
Maybe they'll make an appearance.
Since we're fucking throwing everybody in there, where the fuck was Angel and Buffy? Why weren't they there?
Not the same universe.
Who cares? Where the fuck was Angel and Buffy and Cordelia? They all should have been there. Fucking fight alongside everybody else.
God damn it, Devin. Where the fuck was Garfield, that cartoon ass cat?
Yeah, where the fuck was he? Huh?
Anyway,
Fuck
so
was he?
do you have any closing statements and or I don't know, opinions on the movie, Devin?
Fuck Booster Gold. That's about it.
That is a good
I'm
statement. You know, I honestly wish that they did a crossover where they had a Booster Gold-esque character pop in right at the end
Just so he gets
to get
dusted?
fucking ashed. Fuck that guy so hard.
Oh no, dude, no. They reference Kevin Bacon so much in this movie. I fucking wanted Kevin Bacon to be like on the fucking street, like at the end of like walking around,
and
him
only
just
referenced
watching
him
him get dusted.
twice.
I know, but I mean, it was like they just kept bringing it up,
Yeah,
and I was just like, I feel like he should have made a cameo just to get dusted at the end of the movie.
yeah.
Like, yes, like Footloose, the greatest movie ever.
And then like
Is it still the greatest movie ever?
You
No,
follow
it never was.
you follow a bunch of his ashes, and they just land on different people throughout the city because of that whole 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon thing.
Yep. Now everyone.
Everyone is attached to Kevin Bacon in some degree. Ross, do you have any closing statements or opinions on this movie?
No.
No?
No.
You heard it. 10 out of 10, people.
IGN 10 out of 10.
All right.
It
Well-
does break down the average a little bit, huh?
Everybody who has seen this and listens to this episode, feel free. Post something on the Facebook wall at facebook.com/simplyunprofessional. Shoot us an email at simplyunprofessional@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on the movie. I'm curious, whoever's listening, what are your thoughts on Thanos as a character? I fucking love him, obviously.
Good
Also,
job at Josh Brolin, by the way. Josh Brolin playing him. Hey, interesting idea. Josh Brolin. Imagine if
Thanos versus Cable.
Thanos versus Cable. If Cable didn't have the techno virus, that'd be a good fight.
I just want to see Josh Brolin versus Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin versus Hellboy for no reason.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not going to get into it. We're already 2 hours over.
I want to get into it.
I still think that what's his face who played the Hellboy?
They should have brought in. Oh, dude, no, that would.
Devin,
okay.
you're the name guy. Who is he?
Guy that played Hellboy. I never remember his name.
He played Clay on Sons of Anarchy too.
Yeah. Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman. I still think Ron Perlman would have been a great Thanos.
I agree. You know what I wish they would have done as a hilarious cameo and a hilarious thing? So all the fucking movies that were owned by Fox have like all the X-Men fucking appear in this movie and all of them just get ashed. And then it's like, oh, we're starting fresh next time around. That would have been the greatest thing ever. I would have appreciated that.
What were you going to say, Ross?
Oh, I was going to say, I thought Ron Perlman would have been a great Cable.
I mean, yeah, that too. I would have been great for either one of those. I mean,
Ron Perlman makes a great Josh Brolin.
yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whichever one, who's older of the two?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Well, whoever's older, I think the other one makes a great that one.
Yeah.
How's that? You gotta keep it somewhere in line there.
Perfect.
All right. So we gave you the website or the Facebook. We gave you the email. One thing I do want to know, any of the listeners out there, if you cried at this movie, why? I want to know why, personally. And if it was because of a death of a superhero that you really liked, which one?
Suck it up.
That way I can laugh at you and say, ha ha ha, they're just a pile of ash now. They ain't never coming back. All right. Anyway, Devin, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You guys can find me at DNP_Pookie on Twitter and on Twitch at PooKilledMe.
And Mr. Ross, where can people find you on the internet?
RossMalcolmBoy.com, please.
Do you have I don't know if you do, but do you have any like upcoming albums or anything out that you want to throw out there? Or
I'm working on some stuff right now, but if you go over to the Bandcamp, rossmalcolmboy.bandcamp.com, you can find all my albums there, leading towards something. At least you tried. You can download the Save Points single.
Nice, yeah, that was a good song.
Thank you.
All right. See, go to there. Support Ross in everything that he does because he supports us with everything we do. And he scored 10 out of 10 on this movie because he loves Thanos. And you guys can follow me, as always, on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word. I'm also on Twitch at twitch.tv/DMWebby. I am going to start streaming more often. I know I keep saying that, and you guys are all like, well, he doesn't fucking stream. It's fucking hard for me right now, okay? Just calm your jets. It'll happen.
Streaming.
I got so much shit in front of me right now.
I watched you stream was fucking Outlast.
Listen! I know, that game was scary. It was a bad experience, and I haven't streamed since. It does. Me and Devin, I'm gonna get in touch with Devin. We're gonna talk it out, and me and Devin are gonna start doing a weekly stream of some fashion on at least a 1 day a week. Period.
Nice.
We've been talking about why we don't do it, and now we're just gonna fucking do it, people, because we love you, listeners. We love you. I also want to thank Edquist, who's not here. He's working or doing his play this week. He's been sharing this podcast with quite a few people, and I've been seeing lots of good reviews. So I thank everybody for their reviews. And for those of you who are giving reviews of no stars and are like, this podcast kind of sucks, gonna pull the stick out of your ass. All right, open your ears and actually listen to the damn thing, because from everybody else's perspective, it's apparently pretty entertaining. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's people like Ross and Devin. They're the ones who make this shit entertaining. I'm just a nobody.
It's all you.
Fuck that. All right, with that, everybody, fuck Booster Gold, as always. Ross, say it.
What he said.
That's bullshit. Damn it.
Fuck Booster Gold.
Booster Gold would be better at that.
I didn't hear a word you said, man. I'm hearing music right now. Should put like a little mini guitar solo right here in the middle of this. Yep. Dun, 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 dun.